All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down a really fascinating concept called grounding, or sometimes earthing. We're going to explore the core ideas that proponents put forward, which all center on one big claim, that we may have lost a vital electrical connection to our own planet.
So this really is the central question behind this whole thing, isn't it? The argument is that our modern lifestyle has somehow cut us off from a fundamental electrical link that we used to have with the Earth. But, how could that have even happened?
Well, according to the sources we're looking at, this so-called disconnection didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, gradual shift in how we live our daily lives, a shift that has physically and electrically insulated us from the ground right under our feet.
And this slide really puts it into perspective. For, pretty much all of human history, we were in direct contact with the Earth. We walked barefoot, we lived on the ground. But now, we wear shoes with rubber or plastic soles, live in insulated houses, sleep in beds high off the floor. We've essentially wrapped ourselves in materials that don't conduct electricity, effectively cutting off that natural connection.
Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's a practice called grounding. And according to the sources, it all comes down to two key principles that are all about restoring that lost electrical connection.
So what is grounding, exactly? At its heart, it's super simple. It's just the practice of making a direct electrical connection between your body and the Earth. You can almost think of it like plugging yourself back into the planet. That's the basic idea we're working with here.
So why is this connection supposed to be so important?
Well, the material we're digging into really gives two main reasons for it.
And the first one, it's a pretty big idea. And that idea is that the Earth itself is just this huge natural source of energy, specifically in the form of what are called free electrons. So here's the theory in a nutshell. Our bodies produce these unstable molecules called free radicals. You've probably heard of them. They can cause inflammation and damage. Now, the Earth is basically a gigantic storage tank of free electrons. The theory is that by connecting to it, our bodies can soak up these electrons, and they act like antioxidants to neutralize those damaging free radicals. The source even points to potential effects on things like blood cells, suggesting a real physical change.
Okay, on to the second big reason given for grounding, and this one is all about protection. Protection from the constant electrical noise of man-made electromagnetic fields, or EMFs, that are literally all around us.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Wi-Fi, our cell phones, computers, even the wiring inside our walls, they all give off EMFs. And these fields create tiny electrical charges in our bodies. The argument here is that when you ground yourself, you're equalizing your body's electrical potential with the Earth's. The planet's massive electrical field then acts like a giant shield, which they say dramatically reduces these unwanted charges in your body.
Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's get into the how. The sources lay out some really practical ways to reconnect, both for when you're outdoors and for when you're stuck inside.
The most obvious method is exactly what you'd think. Just get outside, take off your shoes, and let your bare feet touch the earth. Walking on grass, dirt, or even sand. That direct skin contact is the original, simplest way to do it. But, most of us can't be outside barefoot all the time. So there's also an indoor method. And this is where it gets interesting. It actually uses the electrical grounding system that's already built into most modern houses.
It all starts with something you see every day, your standard wall outlet.
Now this is absolutely crucial. The connection is made only to that third round earth pin. It has zero connection to the live electricity. Instead, that pin is wired directly to a metal rod buried in the ground outside your house, creating a safe, direct line to the earth. That safe wire then runs from the outlet to a specially designed product, something like a conductive mat you put your feet on, or a sheet for your bed, or even a simple wristband. And that product makes contact with your skin, which completes the circuit. And just like that, you're connected safely to the earth, all through your home's existing wiring. Of course, when you start talking about plugging things related to your body into a wall socket, a few questions naturally come up, right? So let's run through some of the most common ones with answers pulled straight from the source's FAQ. The first and maybe most obvious question is all about safety. I mean, is it really a good idea to plug yourself into a wall socket, even indirectly? Well, according to the source, the answer is yes, it is safe. And here's why. The products have a built-in resistor. This is a critical safety feature that's designed to limit any potential electrical current to a completely harmless level, even in the very rare case that an outlet is wired incorrectly.
So what about the products themselves? How do you take care of them? Well, here's a quick look. The main takeaway is that things like grounding mats can last for years with just a simple wipe down, but the sheets and bands have a shorter lifespan and you have to be careful with them, like no bleach or fabric softeners, because that stuff can ruin the special conductive threads.
And finally, let's get to what people say they actually experience from grounding. And, just as importantly, we need to look at the disclaimers that the source material makes sure to include.
This quote really captures the heart of it. The most common feedback isn't some miraculous cure, but more of a general, subjective sense of well-being. People often describe it as feeling calmer, more at peace, and less stressed out.
Now, we have to highlight these disclaimers because they're really important and they come directly from the source. They are very clear that this is not medical advice and these products are not medical devices. No claims are being made that this can treat or cure any condition. They emphasize that you should always talk to a doctor about health issues. And there's a specific note of caution for anyone on blood-thinning medication, as it suggested that grounding might have a similar blood-thinning effect.
And so, we end up right back where we started, with that big question. Based on all the material put forward by its supporters, could this direct electrical connection to the Earth be a missing piece of the puzzle for our well-being in this modern world? Well, that's the core idea for you to think about.